This week, G teaches me about Spanish occupation of the Philippines, try some Chinese fusion dishes, and I learn the secrets of maintaining a strong marriage in the 1800s.
Family members would be able to use this. Guests and servants would have different outhouses outside of the building.
Oh, so you're only taking a shit next to your wife?
Yes.
I'm glad we're past that. I even have some damn privacy. I don't have shit next to somebody I have sex with too.
Right?
Gross.
So here we are, we're going inside the actual walls of Intramuros. You can see them here. So you're in the military, man. So these were just basically the fortifications at the time. Cannons would be all there. Imagine if we were here maybe as late as 150 years ago, there was nothing. This was all just open field. Basically everything of worth was within the city, and if you were poor and Filipino, you lived outside the walls. Actually, there was a curfew system. If you're Chinese or Filipino and you had no Spanish ancestry, when curfew comes around, you get booted out of the city. And it just opens up in the early morning when all the maids and all the workers and stuff like that line up and come into the city again. For the longest time, actually, Intramuros was the most fortified fort in Southeast Asia.
In addition to the native Filipinos, Manila also hosts one of the largest overseas Chinese populations in the world.
The Philippines' main Chinatown, or the most oldest Chinatown technically in the world, outside of mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. This was set up by the Spanish in late 1500s, right around 1594 if my memory doesn't fail me. So basically the area was set up right outside the old city of Intramuros. We'll see that later on in the day. But they set this up for the Chinese communities that had converted to Christianity or Catholicism, basically.
So, was there, did like the Spanish give like a special preference? Like if it...
Yes.
So like if like a Chinese didn't convert to Christianity, they couldn't stay here?
They couldn't stay here, they got kicked out, or worse, they got killed.
Wow,
Yep.
really?
By the sun.
And if you YouTube video about Filipino food.
There are so many places to eat here. We're gonna do nothing but eat the whole day. All right, let's hop in. Yeah, have a great day, folks.
Good day.
Bye-bye. Hello po, good morning.
Kamusta?
Hi, long time no see. I went there last week lang. Oh, happy Valentine's.
How do you say Happy Valentine's in Tagalog?
Ayaw na mga puso.
Alam mo yung puso!
Ibigay ko sa yung puso mo.
Tagalog mabuti!
So their main piece is this one, the kuchay. So actually, I've gotten flack before describing leeks as kuchay as leeks. Technically, it's in the family of those greens that either come from onions or garlic.
Right.
So it's that thing. So yes, hi people, if you're gonna call me out on that again, I googled it and it's the same family. So
Got fact checked. I can attest that yes, a leek is part of the onion, the same family as the onion. And in fact, I'll narrate that in later what I'm sure there's some sort of weird long scientific name for whatever the onion family is. It's the Onionism actoninus or something like that. I'll have to look that up.
right, so they pushed everyone that came first. So yeah, that like I said, a lot of the pre-colonial culture was whitewashed, but we're slowly learning more about it. Actually, our script, look at Southeast Asia, or Asia in general. Go to the North Asia, so China, Japan, Korea, they have their own script. And then you come to the States, and our scripts are Western scripts, basically, right?
Right.
Because the Spanish basically banned them, destroyed them. So for the longest time, we didn't know that we had our own script. The archaeologists were lucky enough to find some sort of metal plate. I don't know if it's translated with another script that modern man already knows. So we were able to get a version of old Filipino script. So now, information about it is slowly being disseminated. More and more organizations are trying to promote Filipino heritage and all that. So it's only within the last couple of decades that we've started to really learn more about pre-colonial Philippines.
And that's another one of the things is especially when you have your culture intentionally suppressed, by like conquering foreigners, that you're going to lose a lot of the traditions that you have, and a lot of the cultural memory, and especially like so you lose that portion. And if you're from a part of the world that doesn't necessarily need to build large stone buildings or write down things in a some kind of way that will be preserved for a long time. I don't know what you guys, when you had a writing system, if it was like what you
Bamboo
wrote on.
primarily, like bamboo slats.
Yeah, exactly, and that's gonna 40 years after 40 years, that stuff's gonna turn to dust.
Yep.
And there might not be any is there any reason to have big stone structures in this area? A lot of times, historically, a lot of times when ancient society, when like pre-industrial agricultural societies build large stone structures, it's for religious purposes. But that's only if your religion has something to do with that. So if you're Egyptian and building a pyramid gets you favor with the gods, you're going to build a pyramid. If you're Cambodian and building Angkor Wat gets you favor with the Hindu deities that you believe in, you're going to do that. But if the belief systems that the Philippines had at the time had nothing to do with building stone structures, you guys weren't going to do it.
Yep.
And there wasn't going to be any need to do it. So it's easy to look at a culture and be like, well, we don't see remnants of large stone structures, so they must have not had any culture. Or we don't see, centuries of writing systems, so there must have been no culture with it. It's like, well, they had it just they wrote it on bamboo, and the bamboo decomposed, and then the Spaniards came in and decided to suppress every other culture, and especially one of the things that conquering Christians love to do is suppress the local religion.
Yep.
So whatever religions and belief systems you guys had before then, at 300 years, I mean, I would be surprised if there was any memory or record or any way of tracing that stuff.
Now that you mentioned religion, a lot of the reason why we don't have a lot of pre-colonial history is, I mentioned it earlier, we are 100 different tribes. So there was not one big empire governing the street. Basically, it's a prayer corner, and as you can see, the way you pray is very reminiscent of Buddhist way of praying and worshiping. So you have the incense, you have the fire and stuff like that, but you're worshiping a bronze cross. So it's a perfect example of East meets West. So even though the Spanish forced them to become Christians, they still brought and added a little bit from their previous religions into how they would worship.
So was the Philippines previously Buddhist?
Well, the Chinese that were coming here, trading and all that, they were, that's why you see mixtures of the East and Western religions like this. But most of the other tribes in the Philippines, like I said, they were more on nature worshippers. There wasn't really strong religion. That's why the Filipinos really latched on real quick towards Christianity. And as you see in modern day Philippines, or in the modern day world, the Philippines is probably the largest population with the most Christians, or the most Catholics.
It's definitely the most Christians in Asia. Without any argument. Yeah.
Right. So when the Spanish set up the Chinatown, a lot of them trace their roots back to the Jian province. Well, the Chinese have been coming here to not just Manila, but to a lot of places in the Philippines well before the Spanish actually came. They've always been trading with different tribes all around the different islands in the Philippines. And it just so happened that, when the Chinatown was set up, a lot of them were coming from Fujian. But if you take a look at all the different Chinatowns that were set up all around the world, a lot of people were leaving China through the centuries because they were experiencing a lot of hardships, basically. There were famines, there were primarily famines and economic struggles and stuff like that. That's why a lot of them went to San Francisco for the gold rush, right?
Oh, right.
So we're having a siopaw. So in the Philippines, steam bun we call it siopaw. There are two main versions of siopaw here in the Philippines. One we call bola bola and one we call asado. Bola bola, from the term, is a ball. Basically, it's a meatball inside a bun. And then the other one is asado, which is very much like stewed pork meat. So they're very distinct flavor profiles. We're trying the bola bola first. And the thing with this particular stall is generally when you would do steamed buns, you would put them in the bamboo steamers and then it would steam, right? What they have here are metal steamers. So they put oil first, they put the raw buns, it gets seared a bit in the bottom, and then after a set number of minutes, they add water, then they close it up, then it pops up. So you get a regular steamed bun, but the bottom has a bit of a sear to it. The whole process, I like the way that what happens to the bread itself, to the bun itself. It's not as fluffy bready as you would expect a bun to be. It's a bit more of a chew and a silkiness to the mouthfeel. So let's try it out.
It smells kind of like a donut. Tastes like a donut with meat in it. And no sugar. Oh, it's good. Oh yeah.
Like that.
Oh yeah, and then it is a little bit crispy on the bottom.
Real nice.
Hot. All right. Keep walking to the next place.
No, we're going back there. This is the Pasig River. It's the longest river system in the city. The thing with Manila, Metro Manila as it's more commonly called, it is made up of 16 cities altogether. And we're now in Manila City itself. And this big river here is basically why everything is where it is during the Spanish time. The main reason that this was such an ideal spot is because big ass river, the Manila Bay at the end. So your ships could dock in Manila Bay, very well protected from the elements, and then you just use barges to bring in all your goods. There's a joke about the river. In the 80s and 90s, if you wanted to meet Jesus Christ, you went to the Pasig River because it was so filled with trash, you could walk on water.
Oh God, it's so corny.
So it was super bad. It was one of the most polluted rivers in the entire world. In the 90s, a big movement started. It was called Piso Para sa Pasig, basically 1 peso, the lowest the amount of currency, well, except for the centavos. And then you basically donate that in cans all around the all around the country, and then they were just the money was used to revitalize the river. Now, pretty cool fact, late last year, the Pasig River won like the most successfully revived river in Southeast Asia or something like that. So yeah.
After learning about the striking inequality in Spanish-occupied Philippines, G took me to a museum that showed the lifestyle lived by wealthy Filipinos during the same period.
Stuff like the electricity, I would say that this was like probably from 1850s.
To speak here in the Philippines, the way towns were set up during Spanish times was you'd have a church, you'd have a plaza or a square, and then you'd have a government building. And the town would build around that. The closer you were to the church, the wealthier you were. So imagine if this was the home, the church was just right outside. You would have servants fanning you from both sides of the long table.
Look, she's doing it. She's doing it too. Ooh, holy moly! This is what really matters.
Yeah.
It's the kitchen.
Yeah, these would be like not molds per se, but more of stamps for cookies. So the cookie would only have one side which was decorative, would be that, and then you put it on the tray and then you bake it. It's a modern world, right?
Right.
So imagine you don't have phone, printed media isn't a thing. There's no shampoo, but also just read the random ingredients and stuff like that. So what would you do while doing number 2?
Am I going to be reading the Bible?
Call over someone else and play checkers with them.
You
Check
play
this
checkers right here on the shitter? There's a... Oh, that is fucking gross.
So you have to consider that only family members would be able to use this. Guests and servants would have different outhouses outside of the building.
Also, you're only taking a shit next to your wife.
Yes, or your son, or your wife and your daughter.
Well, your wife is the weird one because you have sex with your wife.
Well, no, imagine. Early in the morning, so honey, what's your plan? Well, I'm meeting a couple of ladies here. How about you? Well, I have a contract to sign with Vince. He's coming over from the far west and stuff like that.
Pretty much all while she's making like shitting and farting noises and all those things, and be like, hold on.
Yeah. Look at this little indents here. They're set up for you could actually put what you call those checkerboards wherein it's set up so that it doesn't accidentally get flinged off, so it just gets locked in place.
So that was the thing that used to happen. Was you
you
used
were-
to sit
And play
here
checkers.
with your wife next to you to play checkers with your wife while you were both taking a shit.
Yeah.
You were like just chatting it up. I'm glad we're past that. I need to have some damn privacy. I don't want to shit next to somebody that I have sex with too.
Right.
Gross.
After learning all this history, I'd worked up quite the appetite. Unfortunately, G had a hard time making up his mind on what we're going to eat next.
I'm seeing if they have cuts or parts of the animal that the other one didn't have. There are a few interesting ones. We'll come back to this later. Are you a vegetable man?
No, not really.
All right then. No. Cheek. So something that we might revisit after this one.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yes, let's go with some
Chicken wings and
Yep.
some.
pork barbecue and then tenga. Sige, isa.
One, didn't you?
Oh no, I got something else. This one and that one.
What's that one?
That's pork, and I'll tell you which part after you've eaten it.
Is it anus? Is it
No,
anus?
no.
That's anus, isn't it?
No, it's higher up the body.
Which side of the body is it on?
North,
North. It's neck,
higher,
forehead.
right around that part.
It's scalp,
Big ear.
ear. Oh, okay, go for it.
Yeah.
As long as it's not anus,
Uh-huh.
balls, penis, I'll eat it. As
Good,
long as
good.
it's not one of those things.
Uh-huh.
Or anything like the anus disconnect. I'm not going to eat like a colon. Anything that has to do with pooping or peeing or sperm, I'm not going to eat anything that involves any of that shit.
Start off with just the regular pork barbecue.
okay.
So the pork barbecue basically is almost always the pork ham, meaning the hind leg quarter. So it's a little bit firmer, a little bit drier, right? Less fat. And then to contrast with that, we have a very fatty pig ear. So try it out. Like that. Are you a fan of fat? Pork fat. And then this will be nice.
I do not object to pork fat.
Good. It's probably our favorite type of meat in the Philippines.
Oh, wait, I want to do this one.
Yeah, you want to do the vinegar, yes. So it's just not super rich.
It's super, super fatty, but it's also got this smoky flavor to it.
Yep, from the grilling.
From the grilling?
Uh-huh.
So why does this not have that same smokiness?
The thing with this is it renders so much oil out of it, so it causes more of the smoke to come underneath it, so it gets smokier in flavor. As opposed to this, which is just lean meat, you barely get the smoke flavor from it. Vinegar sauce.
Is there any part of this I'm not supposed to eat, like whatever that is?
No, that's cartilage. Just crunch it up.
I'm supposed to eat it?
Yeah. Some people, they get scared because they think it's bone, but it's cartilage, so it's just crunchy.
I mean, it's not pleasant.
Well, personally, I like the cartilage. It's a nice crunch. Adds texture to the pure fat ear. So basically, that's basically the part that when you're a piercer, you don't pierce that part, right? This one, for example, that's cartilage and skin.
I've never had a piercing.
Before you finish up this thing, I want so you still have something to wash away this in case you don't like it.
You're really selling me on it. What's wrong with it?
Well, no, the flavors are just a little bit strong, but the egg actually is it's a salted duck egg. Basically, historically, the way it was made was you get mud with a ton of salt in it, and then you would bury duck eggs in it. Then you would steam the whole thing, and the minerals and the salts would leach into the duck egg, and they would just paint it bright red just to know that it was a salted egg. This is a green mango or half-ripe mango. If I'm not mistaken, this is it's other vegetables basically. So it's fresh raw vegetables and half-ripe mango chopped up. This is sweet and savory and fermented shrimp paste. And then basically you mix them together, but you get more of the vegetables and you get a little bit less of this because this is very strong. The whole idea is if it were a bigger space, you would just mix everything. It's basically like a salad. Oh, don't get that first. That's a totally different thing altogether. I forgot to mention.
Don't eat the yolk first?
Yeah, don't get anything from the egg. Just get from the stuff here.
Man, you're making it sound like it's really bad.
No, it's not.
All right, so I
have
need to get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I just have a flair for the dramatic. Green, what do you call that? Green.
Is this a good mixture of everything?
Yeah.
I mean, it's small, so.
Yeah. Acquired taste.
So you know that smell you get when you walk into a feed store?
I know that.
I just put that in my mouth. All right. So we got some winners and we got some losers.
I would implore you to try the yolk now, because I know even in I don't know if they did it in South Korea, but in a lot of different areas in Southeast Asia, it's a nice strong umami flavor. Heck, even the local KFC here in the Philippines, they made a breading dust out of this stuff.
All right, I guess I'll have my water ready. Is it stronger than the white?
The white, compared to the white, the yellow might be more familiar for you. You might like it better than the white.
All right, and then I just need to get a little bit of all the stuff.
No, just to get the yellow so you can just savor the flavor.
I love savoring the flavor. It feels like yeah, you know, like maybe I don't know what you have that here, but like in the States, we'll have you know, like a rodeo. And you know, like all the rodeos in town. So you know, they're in cowboys and livestock, and it's a whole like event for you to kind of see like the way that. It's kind of like to celebrate our Wild West history. And it has a distinct smell from all the livestock, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. Just, you know, if you've been to some place where they grow a lot of animals, that's what this reminds me of. Anyway, I'm gonna eat a little more rodeo, and then I'm gonna call it good.
It is the rodeo.
That's the fucking rodeo.
Did you get a good taste of the shrimp paste?
I really couldn't tell. The rest of the egg was kicking my ass.
Try the shrimp paste. You might like that. It's salty and sweet.
What is that? Just this? The sauce?
Yes. Just a bit of it, because it's real strong.
Oh, I think that's what that taste was. Oh, it works off of it. And so that's the other half of the rodeo.
So combined makes the complete rodeo.
I was wondering why when I did the whole spoonful, it was like I was eating the whole rodeo, and then when I was eating just the yellow, it was like I was just eating chicken shit. And I'm like, well, where's the rest of the rodeo? And I ate that. That was where all the cow shit was. Cow shit was in the shrimp stuff.
Well, yeah, very much an acquired taste.
Next week, G teaches me about Filipino resistance to colonization. Find out about the influence Spanish food had on the local cuisine. And Manuel teaches me hand-to-hand combat techniques used to fight against their oppressors.
Yeah.